Hey everybody, Tom Kaczynski here. Just coming on here for a real brief moment, since it is a Monday evening, and I'm actually pretty close to 7 p.m., the good old times, right? But I did want to let you know there's a new video up at Odyssey, so I encourage you to check it out. I will put a link in the archive, or in the discussion afterwards, but if you go to odyssey.com/at the last war, the symbol at the last war, you'll see I have a new one up. It's a pretty interesting one. It's about the limits of war, and really what I'm trying to explain to you is that we are now living in an age and a time where you would expect war to happen quite differently. We are living in the end of the Westphalian age of limited warfare, and we're seeing warfare becoming divorced from the state. I mean, look at how much we've seen the effectiveness of violence in the streets, for instance. Does anyone doubt that, if people in Minnesota, say on a certain jury, weren't afraid of violence against them, that they might have behaved or thought differently? And what you will find is the expectation for what's going to happen going forward will change accordingly with respect to how this is developing. So that's one of the things that I talked about in some depth in the episode. I think it ran about an hour, 24 minutes. So for those of you who like the content, I continue to produce more over there. And really, what we're going to do is figure out a way to operationalize what I'm trying to do with the last war. And what I mean by that is this, that we are seeing a system break apart, and sane people need to be able to take care of themselves. Now, platforms such as YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, anything owned by the bigs aren't going to let you do that. So we're going to have to learn how to use other technologies. Beak, let's say hi to Dana as well. Let me come up here for a couple minutes, say hi to you guys. So if you have any quick questions you want to throw up, I'll answer them real fast because there's a couple of you here. I don't plan on being here very long, and I kind of miss using it. To be honest with you, using YouTube's 1,000 times easier. On the other hand, you're limited to what they want you to tell. And, the funny thing is I could have a huge channel here if I could only speak the truth, but the truth is a commodity for which you have to be willing to pay a very high price. And as it turns out, I've been doing it for so long, I've earned these gray hairs. I mean, I'm 40 and I look 60. It's terrible, but that's the price of going out there and getting some, wisdom. Maybe I'll go cut my hair or shave my hair. I definitely need to get a haircut. Dana was telling me I'm starting to look like a frosted porcupine or something. It's absolutely terrible, but that's my own fault. I'm getting ready for winter. Next time I'll look like Santa Claus. But the episode's pretty good. For those of you who haven't checked since then, there's also episode 5 up. Really went into cryptocurrency, how money works, a lot of other issues. If there are specific topics you would like me to cover, feel free to leave a note in the discussion box. I look at them, and if I find one that's either A, interesting, or B, I have material enough to put something on, I will go ahead and do that. And always keeping a close eye on things, always keeping health news on alert. We're taking a look at some of that. And, the thing about it is I have all the anecdotal evidence in the world, but I can't prove the trends. I would say be cautious, be safe, be smart, and don't, just because they say you're not allowed to say things, trust your own eyes a little bit. I think that's a good piece of advice when it comes to that sort of stuff. So other than that, like I said, I'm going to try to work to build something bigger and better. And the observation is pretty simple, but what we have to do is get serious about things because, like I said in my episode today, we are coming to a position where we can't count on anyone to look out for us but each other. And if you try to make it on your own, you're going to have a really hard time. Find people you like, find people you can work with, find people you trust. And that's something you can do. Find Jesus Christ. That's the most important thing. That's what will lead you to victory. Do I think a populist political victory is possible on America? No, I don't. What are my thoughts on the path to victory? You cannot win in a system that is set up for you to lose. You have to go ahead and find other people who will do things another way and start building a different definition of victory. Do not try to own what the enemy possesses. It's like trying to wield the One Ring. You can't do it. America is the One Ring. It's Mystery Babylon. Throw it into the fire and start thinking of something else. If you have friends, if you have family, you have people you share kinship with, however you define that, find a place you can be with them, pool your resources wisely, and begin building an alternate way of thinking of culture where you can defend yourself, where you can live how you want, and you make the changes now because you're going to be forced to make them sooner or later. This system is going to force you to conform to the sort of woke, developed way of being that it likes, that it wants everyone to submit, and you're either going to have to be a mindless animal, drone following things, or you're going to have to be a robot. That's the end game of this. And I know everyone's still caught in left-right paradigm, Democrats, Republicans. You're not really fighting for that anymore. What you're fighting for is your essential humanity against a system that's dehumanizing. And it's a global problem. It's not as simple as jumping borders. You need to have a better model. You need to work aggressively to make it happen. And you need to get to a post-ideological state. That's my thought about it. A lot of people are thinking, it's this group taking advantage of the system or that group taking advantage of the system. My thought is it's a system that is constructed in such a way that it is inherently destructive to us. You can't use it in a way that would work. And populism doesn't work because it requires intelligence from a large number of people, and that doesn't happen. You end up with demagogues who make a lot of promises and manipulate people because their vanity makes them more successful. They have no moral scruples. Honestly, like Donald Trump did. I mean, that's why he was so successful. He pitched perfect nostalgia and delivered on absolutely nothing. So what I would say is a general statement is pick what you actually believe, live your beliefs as best you can, find other people who share them, and see if you can build something where you begin to make yourself resilient and depart from it. And then, you pick and choose what you want to use in that, but we have reached the point, and this is what my show says over on the other channel, that law no longer has meaning because it doesn't have the consent of the governed, the state doesn't have a monopoly in violence, and even though they are threatening certain groups for the benefit of others, it's not going to be very long before that thing reveals itself as extinguished. And it's not an American problem. It's a global problem that was created. The Westphalian system tried to fix this, and it started failing, earlier than that. But by the time we got to the end of World War II, by all the things they've enabled, the National Security Act, the defense agencies, all the NGOs, the private armies. I read an amazing statistic today. Just share this one statistic with you. That if you go back 30 years ago, there were 50 armed combatant soldiers, uniformed national militaries for every one mercenary. Now the number's down to 10 to 1. And given the sort of people who are coming into our military now, do you think we're going to keep going forward with that? Or do you think people are going to make other decisions? When we have laws where things are being imposed on people, like full-on tyranny, do you think people are just going to go along with it? Or do you think they're going to offer resistance? Let's say they do one of these gun grabs. Somewhere, some sheriff in a red county in a square place is just going to say no. And I tell you what's going to happen. Same thing that happened in Portland and Seattle. We are going to realize that law enforcement ultimately has no meaning when people band together in numbers. And I don't think there's going to be a civil war at this point. I think there's going to be a macro balkanization where there's an evil empire and areas that can refuse and areas that can't. For those who are familiar, South Africa is probably a realistic model for this. And the reason it's going to go that way is because you can't organize an alternative model. It will not be permitted in the United States of America. Federal law enforcement is making sure of that. They have essentially become a supporting entity to this larger project. And in the end, is the goal of the project to go ahead and make a left-wing socialist utopia? I don't think so. I think the goal is to get a lot of people into a position where they're going to hurt, kill, or destroy one another. Now, do I know that's what's going to happen? No. But it's informed speculation based upon many, many years. They tell you what they're going to do. You just have to read it. You know what I mean? Thank you for your Odyssey work. Have you applied to live stream there? We Westmen need to take ourselves outside the mindset and sphere where we are the heroes in our own story. I haven't yet, and there's a good reason why I don't. I will tell you, the platform for me would not be very stable given the internet problems that I have here at the house. I'm actually on Cell Network to make this work, hence why you see my face up big and close, because I'm actually just sitting down doing this with you guys. But yeah, we'll see. I think the program content's coming together pretty good. I'm excited with what we're doing there at Odyssey. I may set up a project in the coming days where I may do some videos where it will cost you 1 library token. I had a really interesting observation. I could actually figure out how to build a plan to get away and get a whole bunch of people out if I can get enough people to watch the videos, because frankly, I could charge you 1 little token, and if I could get the sort of views that Mindless Blather gets, we could range within, 6 months, enough money to really start building a breakaway effort, and I think that's good. I think people want that. I'm just thinking about how that has to work, and I know that sounds crazy, but honestly, the currency that you offer is your time. You are the value in this equation. So I appreciate the fact that you're sitting here watching this. But that really, if you just invest your time, that's what they want. That's what they're there for. And whole platforms will bend to your will if you begin exerting it and stop thinking of reality as something that it as an objective place that you act upon, and instead see it as something where you are starting to mentally shape things to what you envision. And that's the way you have to make the future, man. You got to look at those mountains. You got to tell them to move. The Lord told you could do that. Good to see you, Tim. Glad you're here, by the way. So anyway, like I said, I just came in for a couple minutes to say hi to y'all. Let you know I'm still here, still trucking. Over there at Odysee, Odyssee. We got the videos up and running. Some good stuff coming along. If there's other things you want me to cover that are sort of relevant and or interesting, I also think my Bluebeam video was absolutely awesome. I was really proud of that. And I know some people have asked me to do one on Antarctica. I'm tempted. I'm real tempted, but I don't have the details to do it right because I have as many questions as I have answers. I kind of want to know, well, I can't leave a link from the phone. That's the problem. So I'll put one up in the discussion afterwards. Do I believe in cyclical history, and do I think it can be defied? That's a big question. I do believe history has certain patterns. I do believe in human agency, that we can choose to have things act differently. So I think that we can choose to redefine ourselves, and that changes everything else. I think the answers are bigger on the inside than the outside. The way you look at things can change anything from an opportunity to an obstacle, or vice versa, and that we need to look at this. We are coming into a time of chaos and craziness, but we now might have some luck if we go ahead and organize. But people are going to have to be serious about it. You're going to have to leave your garbage at the door. And I do too, but it's not just you. It's, I have so many people come to me and they're like, I have this idea and this is how it needs to work. What was done before all has one commonality. None of it worked. So let's try something new. Let's go into the unknown. And if we step into the unknown, hey, maybe anything's possible. I think that's a good way to look at it, and I use my handy guidebook says King James on it, if you get what I'm saying, because it helps me give a sense and a logic to things about how you get yourself out of these mental traps of thinking you have to defeat others. You don't have to defeat others. You have to overcome yourself, and the part of yourself you have to overcome is this idea that you are defined by how they see you or what they think of you. You adapt, and you make other people adapt, and you make a path, and you make a vision, and you approach it with will and passion and zeal, and people might follow you. That's all there is to it, It's more than people are ready to understand, because we're scared of a world of our own creation, And of course, God does the work, but we go ahead and define how we want to do this. Was it not that we were given to name the things in the garden? That's how it started, and we can pick what we want this to be. So that's, I think, a great message for each and every one of you as we go forward with this, that I will continue doing that, and I will work on that, and I'll do what I can. Getting better at it all the time, practicing, learning, and just some really talented people. Absolutely flattered by that. And the people who hate me, that's fine. They're going to get their kingdom of ashes. I don't resent them anymore. Let them have it. Let them have what they want. They deserve the outcome they want. They want to destroy everything, let them destroy everything, but don't let them destroy you and what's important to you. Don't fight them for something you don't want. Fight for something you do want. May the Lord's blessing be on each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. And like I said, I will be around from time to time. I will occasionally consider doing a show over here. The problem, like I said, is the stuff I really want to talk about, I can't. I will get a second strike. I'll get shut down for a month, and that's it. That's the way it is. Fun for fast internet. Well, I've looked. I've been told that you'd have to get something from a satellite, and it would cost like $500. But we'll see. I don't really love the idea of drawing more attention to myself where I am. Remember, I'm a hermit. I enjoy being that. What the hell? You guys know that. For me to do this is one of those things. But if you want to hear me and find me, by the way, and most of you know this, t.me / what is it? The Last War Podcast is the formal one. But if you really want to find me faster, t.me / Atlantic Homeland. I'm usually hanging out in there with the guys and the ladies, and we do a good job. So let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, Hughes Next isn't really much better where I'm at. We've talked. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and it's quite deliberately, by the way. But yeah, and besides, I'll be honest with you. You probably don't want to see any more of me than you do, because I need to use a lot of time for thinking. I probably make it seem like I can just do this off the top of my head, and it's kind of true, but I've been doing a lot more time in research and understanding and learning about the world and different things. Really, I've had a crash course on crypto and blockchain and a fun week of day trading. I don't even want to get into that, but exciting world, but I don't have the stomach for it, man, I tell you. But nonetheless, the world is changing, and knowing how to take advantage of it and leverage, because that's all finance is. You're leveraging your ability to have access to information and the connected networks you create. So that's true. We do need to build bigger networks. We need to build better networks, and we'll continue working on that. So if there's nothing else, I'll give you guys about 10 more seconds. If you're going to throw anything up, do it now. Flash some gang signs at me or something. Dana's right, I do need to trim the beard a little bit, and I have to look at myself in the mirror, or the camera. It looks like a mirror to me. It's just annoying. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I will probably do a Friday show. Eki, by the way, whenever you want, dude, just not a Tuesday. You have all my contact information. We'll come on, and I will do a Friday show for you guys. We'll do at least a half hour, and we'll get into anything. So have things lined up. We'll talk about news. We won't talk about medicine because I can't talk about medicine. But you know what? Just keep an eye on all those ladies who are having all those interesting issues. There's a story there that isn't being told. God bless. You guys have a good day. All right. Bye-bye.